What a fab Saturday it was, and a fab finish to the week gone by. We managed to hit an intraday high once again in that Saturday's cute session also. So we're now above that 22,400 print. And what a way to start off the March series. You've got the Nifty futures now at 22,500 already. Just to give you some color on how we actually panned out on Saturday, we advanced for a third consecutive session. We're up almost 450 points in 3 trading sessions alone. And the Nifty Bank as well has begun participating at a 1-month high already.
You know, Asha, just the brute force of global liquidity and the momentum is so strong that bulls cannot put a foot wrong. I mean, it's that kind of a market we are in, that it really does not matter what the underlying valuations are, how things are moving in the small and the mid cap space, the fact that volatility is back. The market is just showing signs, at least large cap stocks are showing signs of new inertia. So let's look at the trader screen. As we walk into trade this Monday morning, what are we working with? Global cues are positive. Bear in mind, not only Indian markets are at an all-time high, NASDAQ is also at an all-time high. Net flows, both FI and DI, they are positive, which is very important and which is constructive. And what we actually saw on Thursday and Friday, especially Friday, we saw a bout of short covering. So an unexpected move on Friday, there was follow-up buying on Saturday, and we could see extension of that on Monday. So in all probability, what you're likely to see is that you're likely to see re-emergence of long bias and long trading bias in large and mid cap stocks. Mid and small cap stocks, they've started underperforming, but if large cap stocks are moving higher, I guess that churn will continue, which is getting more and more evident, which is getting more and more pronounced. But Friday's price action, in a sense, cemented the fact that the bias for the market clearly tilted towards large cap stocks, and Friday's price action, in a sense, now presses that reset button where if you are a short trader, you'll have to run for cover, which you did on Thursday or Friday or Saturday. And if you've been waiting for a moment of breakout, I think that breakout has arrived finally.
Okay, that breakout has arrived, and for now it seems like yes, the bulls can't put a single foot wrong, and that's been supported by a lot of other reasons as well as to why we have seen the rally. Of course, the macro data, whether it's a GST, whether it's a GDP or the auto sales data, they have all surprised positively. FIIs have finally come back. At least for the last couple of weeks, we have seen a positive momentum build up as far as the FII flows are concerned. Large caps are catching up as well, so that performance is also something which is aiding well for the markets right now. But Nikunj, the question is, can this really continue the kind of rally that we saw? Because 450 points in a matter of 3 days is not a mean feat.
Anisha, while we may look at India in isolation, we must also remind our viewers that NASDAQ is also at an all-time high. Global equity markets are in a good groove. So the performing markets in the world are two: India and US tech, which is NASDAQ. And both those markets are at a record high, and I can throw in Japan as well. That also is doing reasonably well. So while we may talk about India in isolation, the real tailwind, I think, is largely global in nature, and I guess that's where markets, in a sense, are getting a lot of comfort from. Now for India, well, March is not supposed to be a big month, because you've hardly any news flow. You don't have any large, planned events. You don't have any large calendar events. So March historically could be a month where more than news flow, it really would be the bent of technicals, the global setup, and perhaps momentum. Now, luckily, we're on the right side of trade in terms of direction in large cap stocks. The chop and churn in mid cap stocks has started. I think that is the real deal. And what you saw last week, let's say a sell-off on Wednesday, we could be in for more such days where volatility in the mid and the small cap stocks will increase. But I think it is evidently clear that the macro tailwind, along with global strength, and the fact that we've seen a momentum breakout, these are 3 factors which, at least in the near term, will ensure the markets are headed higher. I see the market, moving slightly differently than what we've seen, and I see that the macro tailwind will ensure large cap stocks will do well. See, Aisha, whenever you have a strong global setup and strong macro tailwinds and micros in terms of taxes and auto dispatch numbers, then large cap stocks, they always do well. So I think we are at that moment where the market has gradually but surely started moving to large cap stocks. But like what we saw brutal Wednesday last week, I think March mein ek daur aane wala hai. I think you should be prepared for that.
Well, it's a truncated March for sure. And, you know, some of those long weekends begin coming this week itself. Remember, Friday is the trading off for Mahashivratri. In terms of cues, you've got not a whole lot, even in terms of global cues. Yes, you'll have the beige book of the Fed rollout on March 7th. But besides that, a lot of US data. But in terms of India-specific cues, not a whole lot. But the IPO market, that's going to be extremely active. This week alone, you've got so many.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the entire bull run in the IPO market continues itself. And now just look at the variety of companies which in a sense are going public now. First, you know, it was only limited and restricted to the, you know, large sectors like hotel, hospitality, manufacturing. But now range of companies are, you know, going public, and which I think is the most exciting part here right now. And, you know, there used to be a time when the old timers would always say that when there is excitement in the IPO market, that always coincides with market top. But luckily, that is really not the factor at play. 50,000 crore plus was raised by the IPO market last year. 3 months have, I mean, in this calendar year itself, about 16,000 crore has been raised again. And there's reason to believe that, you know, things actually are likely to remain busy for the IPO market. And remember, there is an election cycle, and from a market standpoint, even though markets, it may be a no event, but really from a psychology standpoint, if you're a promoter, you would say that, you know, I want to go public, and I want to go public not in the month of May, but 15 days ahead of the actual election cycle and the verdict. So you may actually see a rush of IPOs from March to, let's say, 15th of April, because after 15th of April, I don't think anybody really wants to risk going public, and merchant bankers would also say that please come after the election cycle. So the IPO market in the next 45 days, I think, is going to keep all of us very, very busy.